I was today years old when I learned what it's like to be on board a cruise ship that gets attacked by Somali pirates. Welcome to the Cruise Confessionals. It's your boy Corey. Episode 2 already. Hard to believe. Cruise Confessionals is more geared for me to read and react to things that you send me that you've seen go down on cruise ships. So if you got something fun, interesting, saucy, or a little bit sexy that's happened on a cruise ship, why don't you email it to me at midshipsvideos@gmail.com. Today we are talking about a pirate attack that went down on a cruise ship. This is actually pretty scary. If you don't know, there was a movie about these pirate attacks, and I would be remiss if I didn't say,
look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
So the ship that we need to talk about today is the Seaborne Spirit. And back in 2005, she was sailing about 100 miles off the coast of Somalia, where, surprise, surprise, Somali pirates come from. And this video that we just watched, I'm going to play it over top of me talking and explaining what happened here. This video is exactly what happens on a cruise ship when Somali pirates attack your boat. I was very surprised. Now, the way things went down on here, you can see these folks here. This dude right here, these are weapons. This is more than likely an RPG or a machine gun of some sort. And there were 2 swift boats that attacked this cruise ship. They came up on them. And the captain actually had to come over the PA system and make an announcement, say, this is what's going on. We are actively being attacked by these pirates. They're waving their weapons at us. As a matter of fact here, as soon as the captain comes over the PA and makes his announcement, you can hear the weapons being fired off at the cruise ship. This was a rather terrifying moment. Now, I'm not sure if what we're looking at here is being filmed from a crew cabin or is being filmed from a public cabin, like a private accommodation like you or I would book on a cruise ship. There's a lot of charts and potentially a satellite phone, which leads me to believe that this is more than likely somebody who was crew member on board this ship, more than likely an officer of some sort. But as the video kind of comes into like a zoomed in focus here, you can really see this was a serious pirate attack. And it actually ended in the ship needing to make an emergency port stop in the Achilles. And look what they found lodged into this ship. This is an RPG that was fired at the Seaborne cruise ship, the Seaborne Spirit, and it didn't go off. And so what do you do when you have a RPG, a potentially live round, stuck in the side of your cruise ship? Well, you make for the nearest port and you ask the U.S. Navy to come and dispose of this ordnance. Now, they were able to safely remove this. However, another RPG actually exploded on this ship in a passenger's cabin. It pierced her cabin wall, and fortunately, she was using the bathroom at the time. Now, if you're using the bathroom and an RPG blows up in your cruise cabin, I think you're going to be done using the bathroom, because it all would have come out of me at the very same time if that had happened to me. Now, the cruise ship crew members that actually ended up winning what is called the Queen's Medal for fighting off these 2 boats of Somali pirates, one of them was actually blown back from the explosion of one of these rocket-propelled grenades. Let's look at this. This is an article about kind of exactly what happened here on board. Oh my goodness. Cruise ship crew won Queen's Medal for fighting off 2 boats of Somali pirates with a hose. Imagine you're in your room on board the Seaborne Spirit cruise ship when the captain's voice comes over the PA system. I'm going to play for you the captain's voice. Here is the quote, but I think you should just hear it in the captain's own words.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear gentlemen, all ships stay inside, stay inside, stay inside. We are trying to stay run away from them now. Stay inside, everybody. This is a real alarm. Please stay inside.
This is a real alarm. Please stay inside. These are the words from the captain of the Seaborne Spirit. Just minutes before machine gun fire and rocket-propelled grenades pierced the side of their cruise ship filled with passengers. So let's continue on reading this article about the heroic crew that ended up fighting off these pirates. This is exactly what happens. If your ship comes under attack while you're cruising, this is infinitely more interesting to me than most cruise news that I've ever talked about on the channel here. So you rush to the window and you see two small boats speeding towards your cruise ship, engines roaring. Then gunfire. Panicked, you retreat to your bathroom. Moments later, an RPG slams into your cabin. Shrapnel tears through the walls, splinters fly, and debris rains down. Miraculously, your hiding spot holds out for you. For passengers on board the Seaborne Spirit, this was no nightmare. It was reality. The first ever Somali pirate attack on a cruise ship. And you just watched the video of this. Now, the way this story shakes out is still very interesting, so let's figure this out. The Seaborne Spirit was less than 100 miles off the Somali coast on November 5th of 2005, when two pirate boats closed in on them, armed with rifles and RPGs. Michael Groves, a former Royal Navy officer and the ship's security officer, rushed to the deck of the ship. He told the BBC that the moment he stepped outside, he was under attack by these pirates, saying, "As soon as I went out on the deck, I came under automatic fire straight away. A rocket grenade blew me off my feet." Now, the first time I read this, I thought he said the rocket grenade blew off his feet, which would have been, I wouldn't really have been telling this story, I don't think, or at least not this part. But blown off your feet, we can talk about that here. Knocked to the ground, Groves scrambled back up, disoriented but determined. He grabbed the ship's high-pressure hose and turned it on the attackers, the Somali pirates. So he's sitting up there, hose in hand, spraying them down. I might have that here. This is a hose, spraying down the attackers on their boats. I don't know if you've ever seen these videos of cargo ships or container ships fighting off Somali pirates, but they're always out there with the hoses, and they also have like these really cool acoustic devices. I think we're going to get to that in this story here. The attackers fired more RPGs. One rocket struck a stateroom, ripping it apart. "They hit us with RPGs," said passenger Charles Forstick to the Associated Press. We've got some video from the AP that we're going to watch as well about this. "There was a woman in her cabin. She was fortunately in her bathroom." This is Granny on the commode that we talked about earlier, getting something scared out of her. Getting the ever-loving something scared out of her when the rocket grenade went through her cabin wall. Inside the Seaborne Spirit, fear took hold when the captain said, "This is not a drill." One passenger named Gene said, "Oh boy, we're going to abandon ship. It's on fire." Gene, it was either better or worse. I'm not sure. As passengers huddled in the restaurant for safety, the pirates kept up their assault on the Spirit. RPG after RPG smashed into the ship as the speedboats circled their prey, looking for a way to get on board. But Officer Groves held his ground. The pirates were circling the ship, and he knew they wouldn't stop unless he made them do so. Now, the ship's master at arms rushed to activate something that is really cool, and I think probably most cruise ships now have on board. It's an acoustic device. It's called an LRAD, a long-range acoustic device. If you ever see riots or protests that get out of hand, there'll often be these big round or octagonal dishes that are pointed at the protesters, and they release a terrible sound. I'll play it for you now for a couple seconds. If you got headphones on, turn them down. Here's the sound. Right. That is what an LRAD sounds like, an acoustic device, long-range acoustic device. This is what ultimately drove the pirates away. The water cannons didn't do it. It was when they broke their eardrums with this thing that they finally turned and broke off their assault, but not before shooting someone. So you've got the ship's master at arms rushing heroically to activate this LRAD device to help repel the pirate attack, when suddenly he sees a spray of blood and he's struck by a bullet and he falls to the ground. Obviously, if that happens to you, you're falling to the ground as well. Another crew member drug him to safety and took over the control and the manipulation of the LRAD device and emitted this concentrated sound to help disorient and repel the attackers, who covered their ears and finally pulled off like the weenies that they are, okay? If you're going to attack a pleasure cruise, a ship full of people who have no way of defending themselves, well, ultimately, you're just a coward and a trash human being. That's what it breaks down to. Now, this whole situation lasted for about a half an hour. And finally, due to the maneuvers of the captain, they really steered the ship around, making some extra waves to try to push the boats over and spill the attackers into the sea to repel this. The ship itself sustained minor damage. But good news, because of their bravery, a couple of these crew members that we just talked about in their story actually were invited by the Queen, at the time the Queen, now the King, to Buckingham Palace to receive the Queen's Gallantry Medal for their bravery and their heroism in protecting, I'm going to assume there were some British citizens on their ship. That's probably why they received this particular medal. Or the accounts coming out from this cruise ship, I've never seen anything like it. And hopefully we never see anything like it again. This is something that cruise lines will plan for and drill for moving forward. Now you know some of the measures that a cruise line would use to keep you safe if your ship were ever to come under attack by Somali pirates or Jack Sparrow pirates or any flippin' kind of pirates that you can find out there. This is what the cruise lines would be doing if your cruise came under attack by pirates. And speaking of crazy things that happen on cruises, just stick around for this episode of Cruise Confessionals, where we talk about a lady who was so late for her cruise ship that she left her baby behind, running to get back on that Carnival cruise, y'all. We'll see you there.
Oh, Cruise Confessionals, tales of regret. Wild nights we'll never forget. From the pool to the cabin, the chaos unfolds. Bad choices made and the possibilities untold. Tried the water slide after one too many got stuck halfway. The crowd found it funny.